Hello and welcome to another episode of Rugby on 216, the 13th episode of the season. How time flies when you're having fun. A slight change. We've gone for experience over youth as Alex has been kicked out and I'm joined by Coach Kooks, Sonkosi. Nice to have you, Kooksy.
But it was about time, Alex's shenanigans has gone on long enough. From him, the picks, him flying, and how he brags about leading the picks, even though he hasn't picked anything in the Western Cape. Then he's getting picks through Courier Guy and playing all these games. He had to get a card. He had to eventually get a timeout. Think about what he did. It was long overdue.
I met the most amazing people on the burger field this weekend, the Anderson family. And they refer to me and you as the guys with Alex. You those guys with Alex on the rugby show. So we thought, let's change that. Kooksy, we made some picks as we always do. 0 out of 2 for me. First game we picked was St. John's and St. Stithians on the burger. Alex, myself, and Kooksy going with St. John's. Is it a bit of a surprise that St. Stithians came back in that second half? Then Michaelhouse hosting Hilton. Both me and Alex going with Hilton, and the visionary Sonkosi knowing that it's never 2-0. And then as we are in studio here, it'll be Kingswood hosting Dale College today. So we'll speak about that one next weekend. Not often you win with 50% correct picks. And your percentage has dropped, by the way, to 61%.
My percentage has dropped, but at least I managed to get the win. So I won, but at what cost? But no, it's pretty a quiet weekend, more quieter than normal. The emphasis schools are having exams and obviously getting ready for Craven Week. But fantastic rugby and big derbies. I want to start with the burger. That 21. All draw. I'm sure for all of us at halftime we were smiling. You were at the burger field. We were smiling at 21-0, and then what a comeback from St. Stithians. I thought they were brilliant, and obviously, thank goodness, Michael also very, very tense ending as well. That had me worried. But Putty, that St. John's and Stithians game. What a game that was. You were there.
Wonderful, and the occasion, Pink Derby Day, started in 2016 to. Fierce rivals getting together for a good cause. Gaudy Day as well. So the old boys came back to St. John's, and it was just a massive privilege being there. I always say, you look at the matchup, St. John's College versus St. Stithians. Is there bigger rugby matches in South Africa than that? For sure, there are. But the enormity of the occasion, 2 Joburg private schools going hammer and tongs, and we saw last year as well when it was, at Saints. 25-21 to Saints, this year 21-all. It's absolute theatre when they play. But one thing that I'm more certain of than I ever was, at the burger, you can play downhill with the wind, but then you have to play uphill against the wind. And that's what happened to St. John's. They were playing uphill against the wind in that second half. And only at the field, Kooksy, do you realise it's quite a severe slope at the burger.
Yeah, it's quite a severe slope. But you mentioned that in commentary, saying that it does St. John's have enough? Do they have enough points, 21 points? And you'd think so. But for me, it's a tough place to play, especially trying to play up into that wind. And you could see that because the problem is St. John's could not get out the other half in the second half. And as much as all the pressure that St. Stithians was putting on St. John's was kept getting stuck and stuck. The more they exit, you play it fly off. There's nothing worse than trying to exit and trying to kick the ball out to the 22 or even the 10, and it blows back behind you.
Yeah, but you got to realise, you're speaking about me as a fly-off. When you're playing against the wind, the best idea a fly-off has is to drift past his 15 and say, you kick it, man. I'll kick it with the wind. Yeah. I'll go wide with you with the angle. So that, but actually, in all fairness, sometimes that's the better option because you can sometimes be against the wind, but it's sort of a bit of a crosswind as well. So sometimes just changing the angles of your kicking, can do wonders. Maybe keep it a bit lower. And these are the sort of things that St. John's will now be asking themselves afterwards. Look, they had every opportunity. There was a minute left, and they did escape, and they had a scrum with their feed. In the end, you have to commend the effort of Sipho Samandosi and his St. Stithians team for coming back at St. John's in that second half. And fantastic advertisement for the King Price Derby Series. It's the second year in a row which it'll rank as the top 5 or 10 games of the season, because just for the pure theatre.
Just for the pure theatre, Spooty, and I think you're right. I mean, you get the grit of Saints, but also, I mean, St. John's were brilliant in that first half as well, and the way they controlled the game. I think for me, like, especially when end up in a derby like that, two of the best private schools in Johannesburg fighting for the crowd, goes all the way down to the last minute. Saints will take the fact that they won last year and they drew this year. So St. John's, that streak will start to pull for a bit. They'll be worried about next year, but Sport brilliant game of rugby down at the burger.
So Hilton goes to Michael House after having won the first game. They go with the added pressure of Brad McLeod-Henderson's final game in charge. And I can only imagine the incredible want to send him off on a good note, on a positive note, on a 2-0 Michael House here. Not meant to be.
Oh, just not meant to be. What another fantastic game of rugby. I feel like we said often. It's one of those derbies as well, where the last, 2-3 years, it's just been really, really close. I remember, was it 2023 when eventually Michael House sort of broke that streak and got that 100th win, also in the last minute. I mean, it's one of those derbies that also tends to go right down to the wire. It did again on the weekend. Depending who you ask, they'll tell you whether or not if there was a try or not.
You gotta go there.
I mean, it was a very, 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 very tight call, and it just shows the margins of these two sides, two great programs. So yes, we know Brad McLeod-Henderson is leaving Hilton, but also the Michael House side led by Marco Engelbrecht, who's done a fantastic job with the side this year. So it was a great game of rugby, and I mean, I look forward to next year. I mean, I think obviously the Hilton, with the choices, who takes over that mantle, and obviously Hilton will continue building on Marco.
It's the amazing thing about life, eh? As one era ends, the Marco Engelbrecht, Michael House era starts. Great result for him and their program, and 1-1 Hilton Michael House, like it so often is. It's one of the closest rivalries. I don't know if people know that. And in South African schoolboy rugby, there's a game or two in it throughout the history. So it's absolutely amazing to watch. But there's a game I want to talk about as well. We didn't pick Dale College and St. Andrews College. Dale going down to the lower field of St. Andrews College. For the first time in 23 years, they pick up a victory by 10 points. And now they're playing Kingswood as well.
No, I mean, which is a massive win for Dale. And a bounce back win for Dale, which they needed to. Dale's seasons were a tricky one. They lost to Hudson and then they had that break. But again, playing against a very, very wounded St. Andrews side that came out firing. And for me, Dale just showed the composure. They've had a brilliant year, which everyone in the Eastern Cape is so ecstatic for, except for Queens and the Queenians and the Silboanians, but they'll be happy for them later in the year. But this was a great game of rugby, I mean, almost 80 points scored, and when Dale running rugby, St. Andrews Bay running rugby, this is a fantastic game, and I'm hoping, I mean, as we speak, as we record now, that Dale, I didn't pick Kingswood, but I mean, I'm hoping it's a good game, but I think that's going to be another one of those sneaky games of the season, Dale and Kingswood.
Yeah, it's amazing. We in KZN and Eastern Cape, let's be honest, Kooksy, it's tougher to pick those games. It's just tougher to pick them because you just never know, and you also don't know which sort of side pitches up. Dale College can pitch up on a Saturday, and then like they have to do now on a Tuesday, can they pitch up again? And how much fire does Kingswood have in the belly? St. Andrews on their day can beat anybody in the province. You've got Selborne College, sprung a couple of surprises, and then in KZN it's like gung ho. Who's gonna win it? It's like the Wild West in KZN.
No, it's been the Wild West in KZN. Courage has picked up a few results. DHS has as well. Westfall as well. Whenever you're out of someone, you probably say now we're out of my class a little bit, like sort of end of the second term. But wow, the way they've wrapped up their season. Start off with the win against Afis, end of the win against Silton. The old boys here will take that and run. But for me, I think KZN, the real talk now, and we'll mention it next week's Police Craven Week, is they've been knocking on that door. And now, obviously, I think probably not in terms of player-wise and names was as touted as last year. Last year, Zekatelis, Yaya and all those guys. But I think maybe this year, the other schools, guys coming together, under 16s won the Grand Coma last year. I'm keen to see these KZN guys can eventually come together and knock off that juggernaut, which is Western Province.
Craven Week to come in a couple of weeks' time in Gqeberha. I said it, the most difficult word for me to pronounce in English, Gqeberha. And when we come back after the break, we'll have a look at the performances of the juniors in the South African side as well as the South African A side. Just how did they go for the Springboks against the Barbars and the SAA side against Zimbabwe? All of that after the break. Welcome back to a more matured Rugby on 216 this week with me and Coach Kooks. Alex is somewhere in the Bundes, so it's just the two of us. Kooksy, I don't know if you remember, last week we made, or the week before last week, we made our picks for the FIFA World Cup. You're not the greatest picker in the world, we all know that. Foolishly, you went for Spain. Alexander had some sort of inkling or somebody telling him the Netherlands, and I went with Deutschland. How do you feel about your pick at this stage?
Oh, very happy, Spuddy. We were through the first game, and then fantastic 4-0 win. Yamal getting a goal as well. And I think Spain's starting to find their rap. I mean, Alex will be very happy. I mean, 2 from 2 for Germany. They're looking good. But yeah, just let me enjoying the World Cup. Obviously, all 104 games here in your World of Champions. That's been fantastic. Late evenings. But yeah, I've been loving it. And you guys are flying this. Put Deutschland, eh?
Yeah, 7-1. 7-1. I'm just repeating that. 7-1. And of course, the FIFA World Cup 2026 live on your World of Champions. Right up until the 19th of July comes final day. Hopefully, we'll see Germany taking on Spain. I think by then, the youngster side might have fallen by the wayside in the semi-finals. Let's get back domestically. And let's get back to the game we know a bit about. Well, I know a bit about. You know quite a bit about football as well. I won't even try and match you there. The youngsters making waves in South African rugby and Rassie Erasmus backing them. I think that was the key to this past weekend. South Africa a 40, Zimbabwe Sables 0. They're, of course, building up to their very own World Cup in 2027, only the third time they've qualified for the showpiece event. What did you make about the performance of the youngsters in that SAA side?
Yeah, I thought they were brilliant. You know, I think obviously I thought Yakin Ahmed was very, very good. I mean, before you got that red card, the way you control the game was nice. I really liked Luan Khulumia as well. Just brave, whatever decisions he makes, it was brave in the air as well. Got tested. CI looked good. I mean, it was Zegatelo CI. He looked very good before catching a part of the kind of boot to the head, which was ruled him out of the World Cup, Junior World Cup. But for me, I really did enjoy it. I think, I mean, that was what I wanted to see. You know, obviously, and a good mix of with some of the experience the guys on Labour, Vince Chichuka, they were playing the likes of Nathan for sure. But for me, I really, really enjoyed them getting a chance. I also really like Jaco Williams as well.
And I'm glad you mentioned the name of Jaco Williams, because everybody over the last couple of years have been speaking Siyaya, Muller, Ngedezi. You know, they've spoken about these magicians, and he's sort of been flying slightly below the radar. But right now, if you look at him, he's probably almost taken the biggest claim, you know, from where he was out of this group of youngsters. And I think the most amazing part, like you say, is we saw them on this stage.
Yeah.
And barring none, they all showed they belong. You know, there was nobody out of place. Nobody looked overawed by the occasion. You know, they're playing, be it the Sables, they're playing a test nation. They're 19 and 20 years old, and they look good for it.
And also that they're around other internationals as well, in the Springboks as well. And obviously, they still want to drive the camps. The standards that Rassie will put their coach-by-coach stick. So for me, they didn't look at a place. And like I love what you mentioned, those putties that we've seen these guys. It felt like we were watching an international series again, under 18s. We've seen them there, you know, Marcus Meloso got some game time as well. So it leaves them in good stead. And then from now, and seeing those guys, they go from straight from there. And I said, Nebelele, when we said Che was injured, came straight from injury, straight into that game. From like I said, for me, love the way it will turn his park. I mean, I'm sure you can see the rust of not having played for a while with throwing, but he'll bounce back leading the baby box as well, coming for the World Cup. So I thought all the the youngsters passed the test, especially in the SA game.
They were brilliant, but then that was the appetizer. Then came the real thing, the Boks taking on the Barbars, and a very good Barbar side coached by Scott Robertson, who's got some history with South Africa. They might have cost him an All Blacks job. Looking at the result, they might cost him a Barbars job as well. But take me through the youngsters playing in that game. Vusi Moyo getting game time on the biggest of stages. Your feeling about that game in general, and then about the youngsters.
I mean, the Boks were good. I mean, they'll be a little bit bleak about the 31 points they let in, but I thought Riley was brilliant. I thought he was very, very good. You know, Riley is an interesting case. I think talks about him after the French school. Is he a 4? Is he a 7? What is he going to be? He's looking very good. When I saw him before the game, he's definitely put on some mass. And for me, just the way he got on the park as well. And yes, it's a big test for like Riley, especially up front, because I mean, being a 20-year-old is that you got up against, you know, you're training with the airborne and experienced campaigners like that. You got to be able to throw your body around and add some oomph. And also, Vusi Moyo came off the bench, and he was quite nervous when he saw Ches and Colby going down after being hit by the cameraman. He looked like Moyo was making his debut 5 minutes in, but he came on. I thought he was assured. He looked good with the ball and got that nice assist. Very, very excited. I mean, for them now to be missing the World Cup because they're staying in camp, just shows the level that she's operating, and shows for Rassie as well. He's already thinking 2031, or you never know, there could be bottles for next year.
Yeah, so now I've got to ask you the question. You know, I also thought Norton was stupendous. He was magnificent. It looks like he's been playing there for 10 years, and, you know, he can run out as the captain of that side for, you know, that's just the maturity. And now he's not playing in the Under-20 World Championships. And Moyo's not playing in the Under-20 World Championships. And Siyaya is now injured for the Under-20 World Championships. Was this the right time, just before our Under-20 World Championship, to let these youngsters use? And are we worse off at the Under-20 World Championship now for guys who's probably only going to be filling the squad?
I think it's a great question. I think for me, obviously, a senior national junior, it does take preference over junior national junior. And we're seeing the likes of with Moyo and Norton. I do think it was a good time. You know, I think for them that the experience those guys will have being in that Bok camp, spending those 2 weeks there, that's so invaluable. What they'll bring down coming back to 20, what Marcus will bring down, spending time with the Felix Jones, spending time, and also it is the same pathways, you know, that they've created. And so I think that I always think we're right, but also in saying that, yes, we've lost Moyo and there's no Ahmed for 2 games. Lauren Khilomia was part of SS School as a 10. Alzine Felix also led up Craven Week and played SS School as a 10. So our 10 stocks I'm not too worried about, and I think we've got more than enough depth to cover. I mean, there's a Chezo Uosta that's coming back. Lobokwana comes in. So that's the depth that we're dealing with in this country.
Junior Boks squad for the World Championships has been announced. It's running over the screen as we speak. And no real surprises, you know, a couple of late replacements needed. But, I mean, names like Heinrich Tron, you know, Alziden Felix in the squad as well at fullback. You spoke about one of my favorite players, Aka Motwana. Plenty of depth, plenty of character. Now, captain by Sipusetu Nebelele. He's understudy Lem van Wyk, you know, so he'll be getting game time as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage that situation. But surely enough depth and character in this squad to make us believe we can win another gold medal at a World Championship?
Yeah, more than enough depth, Putty. You know, we're still adding, 9 guys who were in that camp. So it was 11, 8 guys. So we take away CIL. So 8 guys coming from Bok camp. And I mean, all key positions, I think we're still the favourites, and really looking forward to how they go on Friday.
We saw the Junior All Blacks losing against Georgia in a warm-up game, a side that South Africa's beaten very comfortably away from home and back at home. So hopefully that's a good omen. It'll be interesting to note who New Zealand started with and what the sort of framework of a warm-up match was. But nonetheless, 22-19 to Georgia, a turn up for the books. And and then a couple of youngsters, of course, in that Springbok squad now. You refer to them, Riley Norton, Vusi Moyo. What a privilege, what an honor. 46-man a squad for the Nations Championship.
No, what an honor. I mean, I think for me, it just shows that where Raz's head is. You know, Sasha, you bring in Moyo as well now. Now you've got a cover for 10. I'm excited to see what Riley does. Obviously, we've had a few injuries at number 4. So, yeah, I'm happy to see them in there. And for me, like, hopefully, maybe against Wales, you might see them getting some game time. But knowing Rassi, you might see Moyo running out against England in the first game.
You know, it's absolutely amazing to see the pathways in South Africa starting to come together. And I think that was a year and a half ago, me and you, that was our concern. We spoke about the lack of under 20 World Championship wins and how's our guys going from the best in the world at under 18 to not winning that at under 20. That's been fixed.
Yeah.
That pathway from the under 20s to under 23 system now in the franchise system to the box to everywhere. Has the chains been tied, and the box team that is, or the box squad that is now on the screen, is that now the best we can do, and it'll stay right up?
Yeah, I think we're blessed. I mean, we still got also Sasha Fambo Ngomazulu is injured. I mean, that gap, and this is guys with the under-23, I think, tournament. I think that's made a world of difference. I think that gap is getting tighter. I think for me, that between 2023 was the big one. I think now we've seen the fruits of it. I mean, in the work that Dave Vessels and Kevin Foote have done, and now you've got guys who are playing SAA at 20 years old, guys who are now 20 playing in a Springbok side. You know, Jaco Williams 21, getting in those groups. It shows that it's starting to work, and it can only get better from here.
What a wonderful privilege to be a South African rugby supporter. Two-time World Cup champions, under 20 world champions, the best schoolboy rugby program in the world by a country mile. What a privilege that is. We'll go for a quick break, and we'll be back afterwards with the final segment of Rugby on 216. Welcome back to the more matured version of Rugby on 216. We're without Alex White for another couple of minutes. Kooksy, thank you very much, bud. It was fun having a grown-up conversation.
No, it's fun. It's been a while since us two have been together. And I think last year during Craven League, we were playing with a pool. But I'm looking, I can see Alex creeping out of the bunker there. I think his yellow card might be expiring. Yeah,
experience is going to be replaced by the youth of Alex White again. But first of all, we've got something to look at. Alex White, his guide dog, and his cane was invited by Mr. Lincoln Marley, the legend, to the Mzwandile Marley tournament in the Eastern Cape to go and referee in the semi-final. I didn't know they allow Alex White with a whistle outside the Western Cape, but let's have a look.
Just got to Chief David Stearman Airport here in Gqeberha. Next stop is the Isaac Wolfson Stadium, where the match is going to be happening later today, the second semi-final. I think the first one has just about finished up. It's the first time I'm refereeing outside of the Western Cape. Very excited. Time to meet our ride.
Stops here.
Okay.
Starts here.
So we're entering KwaZulu now.
Yep.
So the Isaac Wolfson Stadium's in KwaZulu.
KwaZulu is just about 10 minutes to.
Okay. Isaac Wolfson Stadium in KwaZulu. Just driven through New Brighton, which I don't think will surprise many people to know. Boy from Cape Town, I've never been in. I've only ever heard about it. The late great Conan Tunja, in his first ever introduction of Siya Kolisi, spoke about New Brighton and Walmer and Zwide and all the different parts of Eastern Cape and of Gqeberha, where Siya Kolisi is from. So it's very cool to actually see it for the first time, to see what he spoke about all those years ago. And more excitingly, to actually come here for rugby and to referee a match. Mali, the man behind the Mzwandile Mali tournament and the person who very graciously invited me to be here.
Sure.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for coming, Alex.
It's so cool to finally be here.
To us, eh? Wow.
It's, I was saying, this field, I've only seen it on the stream, and now
Yes.
to see it in real life is very cool, and to come through the places I've only heard of,
Yes.
like New Brighton,
Yes.
and to be in KwaZulu, it's very cool.
This is the heart of rugby, eh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted just maybe to start out, if anyone doesn't know exactly
Yes.
what the Mzwandile Mali tournament does,
Yes.
just a quick summary of it.
Yeah, this is a tournament for tier 1 to 3 schools, or what they call quintal 1 to 3 schools, or townships and village schools, where we encouraging them to play the game. We started in 2014 with 8 schools. This year we've got 60 schools in 7 areas across the Eastern Cape, and some gems are coming through.
And I think to help people understand that, if you looked at like the Western Cape, a school like Sachs would be quintile 5. So you're taking quintile 3 to 1 schools, you've got 60 of them coming together at a fantastic ground like this.
Yes.
It's just so amazing.
I mean, my thing was to get these kids to experience what established schools experience, and to have the feel of that. And having a partner like Standard Bank has helped us to have the branding, all of those things, very good refs and everything to give them that excitement. And partnering with SuperSport schools, they get to see themselves and their families get to watch the games.
You mentioned very good refs.
Yes.
I'm hoping I'll stay
I
true
am
to that.
so happy that you're going to be our guest referee, and the excitement among the match officials, because again, we're not just promoting the young people to play, match officials, administrators, coaches, and so for the match officials, this is a big thing for them.
I'm lucky coming from the Western Cape. We have more matches than there are match officials, but if you don't have matches, you can't become a referee, you can't learn, you can't hone your craft. So it's very cool.
So putting a spotlight on them is a big thing for us.
Exactly. I think I'm going to get some advice then from you. Semi-final 2 is the match I'm taking charge of later today. Uitenhage, Tubaletu.
These are amazing 2 schools. Tubaletu has been in the finals 3 years in a row, and Uitenhage has been one of the semi-finals before. And some of the teams we've picked from Mzwandile Mali, big numbers come from Uitenhage and Tubaletu. So these are very, very good schools.
The main thing is I've come here to enjoy it, and the most important thing is that they enjoy it and they have a good game. So Lincoln, thanks so much.
Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you. It's awesome
Brilliant.
to be here.
Thanks, Alex.
The Mzwandile Mali tournament is a world-class tournament. I mean, there are people from SA Rugby here watching, scouting. The Mzwandile Mali 15 gets selected, with those players going to play in Easter festivals and all sorts of other tournaments. And most of it is put on by volunteers. Most of the people we see here are volunteers. I met a referee earlier on, an older gentleman. He told me this year he turns 80. This morning he refereed 2 matches. That's the sort of dedication you have at this tournament that I think is unlike anything else we have in South Africa, and is part of what makes it so special and just adds to how incredible it is to be involved. And kickoff is in about 15 minutes. Nice to meet you. Yes, the captain. I'll talk to your players to try and avoid a penalty, but if I think you're slowing down the ball and taking advantage of it, then you'll lose the privilege, okay? I think that's fair enough. Then it's up to the hooker on each team to set the gap, because you'll know better than me what that gap needs to be, so hooker, set the gap between the 2 teams. Do you have a team showing me a better picture if the other team does something wrong? Then you'll get rewarded if you're doing the right thing. Okay, do you guys have any questions? None. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Nikona. Good luck. And then just at every try, if you're happy, a thumbs up. If you don't give me a thumbs up, I'll just stop. I'll come to you, check something. Make sure we're behind.
Indoda engisaziwayo uAlex White eqhuba inkqubo yombhoxo kula channel ka 216
Taken back.
namhlanje ke imzwandile school rugby tournament
Backwards.
fikelela undwendwe uguest kaSompempe akuzukhumshwa halala awufika mntakamntombi
Set. Backwards. Release.
Freshman, we can remember you have the life of
Just always in contact. Need to release.
wow
Stop.
Ngomkoni abuya kakuhle bafuna amakhulu khanyisa Peter forward look forward yabekwa phansi Gerard
First man.
ukhwashwa you guys go
great turnover there from
yakhabi yodli yamfumana uSpencer lukholo omnyapha wayifaka phansi kwengalo wathi dala imbone wayinokha ibhola yafika phezulu kwalo ithuba lesibulele
Knocked on. That's half time.
esokuqala isicinga rasiphelile bantu abamu
They're fine.
But so far, it's a good game.
Couple knock-ons where they get upset, but the try was definitely knocked on. We both saw it as a knock. There was the one where the guy broke away, but went for it, he knocked it on the ground. But it, like he knocked it there and it went over the line, so I was happy it was a knock.
coach Kooks got his zone ithe ilanga litshona abekwa omnye wethu oludlebholi indoda ifunda ngapha esikoleni
Inside.
indoda isikuqeqesha amaqela amaningi yakhala rakhe ithuba lethu
Number 7, hands on the rock.
sosoyana baphumuza bheka phambili esika 5 feet abekwa phansi yavela ibhola lungu faneleke black knight Jackie try time akambaka ayisuka bakwethini man
I think too many to play definitely saw red flag.
Binds. Closing.
what a try oh what a beauty wow you the guy makasakal bika nachozana lani wabheka nje sobona wabheka phambili afika mtheni try time Bongongoli where were you quality Oma Yudik High School yo yakukhona umntwana faneleke wayeka namba 8 job wafika ubhongomntwana walala emtheni zemke inkomo abakhwanti wabuya ngaphakathi emethelo methi uGoliathi awunawuze uthi uGoliathi kubele ngaphakathi koDavid mntwana wabeka u5 meter abasambona
It's not the try line.
ezomkhothi omhlanje Yabo Yudik yapasa ngaphonde Theodore wafika emtheni Alfiero Theodore wow what a try
All the best, eh? Thank you. Good luck in the final, eh? Good luck for the final, guys. Well played. All the best for the final, okay? Good luck. It's very humid here in Koberge, but that was so much fun. It was amazing. The players, when they had a bit of freedom, the rugby they play is amazing. I think Tubuletu took an early lead, but then there was this runaway try in the corner. A guy dove on the ball and thinking maybe we've got a game on here, and then they scored a maul try straight away to come back. It was just amazing. The whole organization of Nzwandile Mali tournament is
incredible. It's absolutely fantastic. The players have water, they have food. Everything is taken care of. It's so well run, and it's producing stars. Batu Tlekane came through this process before he went to school elsewhere, and then went on to play for the Junior Springboks, and now in the URC setup. And I think also last year's captain and the captain before in Fort Hare University and Walter Sisulu University. So it's such an incredible pathway. It's so cool to be here at the Isaac Wolfson Stadium to see it all unfold. And yeah, both teams seem happy, and that at the end of the day as a referee is all we want. So it was a really cool experience. It's time to head home.
It was one of the most amazing things I've ever done. The first time I refereed outside of the Western Cape and outside of the Western Province Rugby Football Union sort of area of jurisdiction, the Mzondile Mali tournament. And in studio now, I'm joined by the man who made that all possible, Lincoln Mali, alongside your good friend Justinus Adriansa. And we're going to talk about something that's very exciting. It sort of takes it to the next level. So when I did that, when I went and refereed at KwaZulu at the Isaac Wolfson, in the semi-final. It was back in March.
Yes.
And a lot has happened since then.
Yes.
Right. So we spoke during that time about how you'd gone from 8 schools to 60 schools over 12 years. You've now launched the Mzondile Mali Schools Champions League with 138 schools. I mean, how long has this been in the works? Because we saw it launch on SuperSport Schools, but it's incredible.
Firstly, thank you for coming. I mean, you honored us by being there, and the word is spread. But it's been a dream I've had for 12 years to give these guys a season, structured season, the whole time on, so that the kids can learn and play together. But it wasn't happening. And then I reached out, they say call a friend, to reach out to my brother, Justinus, who was based in Canada, and Guy was based in the US. And I said, guys, can we strategize? And we strategized, and boom, within a few weeks, we were ready.
So a turnaround time of a couple of weeks is incredible. We'll get into those logistics. But Justinus, I want to know, how long have you guys known each other?
About just over a year. I think we met on Zoom in June, July last year, and then after the call, on the first call, I said to Lincoln, I'm coming to South Africa. We are going together to the Boks playing Australia at Ellis Park, and we did that. And
you didn't pick the best game.
No, it was a horrible game. It was the worst game to go watch.
It was great for the first
21 minutes.
And then
everything changed.
But luckily, we walked away with a great friendship, and we've literally probably spoken 150 times since then, and it's been an amazing journey too.
And what you've been able to do in such a short period of time is really what we want to talk about today. So the premise is that we have all this incredible talent in the Eastern Cape that doesn't get exposed because there are only so many sort of really strong schools that are backed financially, that have the structures in place to field really good rugby teams. And then all the other schools just kind of don't play each other, or it's a bit random, or they only get to play if they're part of the Mzondile Mali tournament. So now you've got the league where 138 schools have regular matches each week, which is something they've never had. And I mean, in 10 years' time, that's going to develop derbies. It's going to develop heritage rivalries. There'll be kids on the side watching who are like 5 years old. And in 10 years, they're 15. They want to get into the league. So I think that's the easy part to understand, that it really is going to make a massive difference. But there are still things people don't realize about rugby in the Eastern Cape. And if we look at this picture behind me, the guys in the blue shirts, pretty much everyone's wearing different pants and socks and boots to each other.
Yeah.
And it's not just that. They're so constrained by resources.
I think the biggest thing is the heart and the traditions of this game which is more than 138 years or so in the Eastern Cape. So these kids love the game. They want to play the game. So they see the constraints, but they rise above the constraints. So I wanted to give them a platform beyond the constraints so that they can play the game they love, they can develop, then suddenly they can become better, they can play for provincial teams and so on. So Justina's guy and I started strategizing, and then we had a backup buddy campaign, and South Africans from here and abroad just poured in their hearts, and we were able to raise R1 million in 28 days so that I don't fail again. That in this year, I start the league, and that's been an incredible journey.
R1 million.
R1 million in 28 days. I mean, it was actually so inspiring, and the people's enthusiasm, they wanted to get involved, they wanted to know what the constraints is, they wanted to help. So it's been amazing to see the energy and the spirit and the cooperation come and support Lincoln unconditionally to really make this dream a reality.
And I know you played rugby when you were at school, and you've spent time now in Canada, very much a first world country. So when you come and you see the tournament for the first time, because you came and watched the finals of the Mzwandile Moli tournament, and then you've been around the past couple of weeks, and you've been at the launch of the league and everything, and you've been to schools, and you've seen the reality. So what is it, do you think, that people who are not involved don't actually realize these kids are up against?
I mean, it's insane, the constraints. Like, we visited two of the schools, those two schools in the picture, Solomon Mushlangu and Morley Blackburn last week Friday. And you walk into the schools and you actually overwhelmed and almost feel emotional by what they have to operate and how they have to make this a success. But then the message Lincoln gave me, which I think is so perfect, is don't look at all of the problems. Just pick the few that we can do something about and make it better. And if enough of us show up and help these schools to overcome some of these constraints, then things can start happening. So one of the things that immediately became obvious for me, I, as a 9-year-old playing rugby for the first time in Pretoria in the 80s, I had everything I needed. I had a tackle back, we had scrum machines, we had everything we needed. These kids have none of those things. They've never seen a scrum machine. They've never seen a tackle back. If they're lucky, they get to scrum in a game once every few weeks now. So there's so many things that we can do.
They can't train and practice because there's not necessarily enough numbers, there's no scrum machine. So the first time they get to properly practice is in a game. And that's not only not enough practice, it's also dangerous for them. So
what you do is you say, as I was saying to Justin, find the things you can solve. And you say, okay, can we get the guys playing? Can we get coaches that can come in that get accredited? Now they've got their box mat. And then you say, can we give them balls to play with? Can we find an open field where they can play? Can we start getting them to understand the techniques of a scrum and all of those things, build some of the structure? But you can't build the love. You can't build the traditions that have been built. You can't be the passion for the game and the flair they have. They can see gaps that sometimes people don't see. Now build on that. And I think if you look at Ross's philosophy, it's been built around that. And these kids are responding because they can see that there are possibilities that someone like them can be picked.
And the goal for me is to build a system that makes it absolutely inevitable that South Africa will win 5 of the next 10 World Cups. The kids who are going to win the World Cup 40 years from now hasn't been born yet. When they're 5-year-olds, they need to stand next to these fields and see their brothers and cousins play and want to play. Because the freaks of nature, the 205, the 210, the 9-second 100-meter kids, they will all be born anywhere in South Africa randomly. And we need to make sure wherever they are born, they have a pathway to end up playing rugby and helping the Boks win the World Cup. And that's what we want to do.
Guys, it's going to be so cool to see it grow over the next couple of years. So we're going to keep having you on as long as we're here. We're going to keep supporting it at SuperSport schools. How long does the league run for?
So the league is going to run until the end of August for all the individual leagues from Gqeberha to Mthatha. But then round of 16, 5th of September. Then quarterfinals.
It has playoffs.
24 of September, and then the finals and semi-finals 26 and 27 at the Moko Sports Complex in the rural villages of Durban. So it's going to be an amazing. So hopefully I can get you to referee one of those games.
I'll have to make a return. Well, if that hasn't inspired you, I don't know what will. It's so incredible that SuperSport Schools is part of this journey, and a lot of those matches are on SuperSport Schools as well. So giving incredible exposure to the most wonderful league in the country. This is Rugby on 2 on 6. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's time for Ask the Ref and the Impossible Truth. Welcome back to Rugby on 216. I know you were expecting Spurt based on how the rest of the show has gone, but we thought just for Ask the Ref and the Impossible Truth, because of how well it went last week when Kooks did it on his own, and because the week before Spurt messed it up, I've subbed in for Spurt, so it's just the two of us for Ask the Ref and the Impossible Truth. Kooks, it's like the whole show we did last week. So yeah, I'm sitting at 44% on Impossible Truth, which I'm not super chuffed about.
We're extremely chuffed about it, and the job is to try to get you down below 40. That's the goal. That's what we're trying to do before, before Craven Week, or even before so that the kids get back for term 3. That's the plan, to get you under 40%. Because last year you snuck it and got 50% at the death last season, so we can't have that happen again.
So Spud has entrusted you to do both of them. But let's start with Ask the Ref, my happy place, just so I can do something. I haven't brought a clip this week. What I've actually done is come with one of the more weird laws, one of the strange ones. To get to it, I'm first going to ask you, rugby posts, the crossbar, how high do you think the top of the crossbar is off the ground? It is regulated, it's a standard height.
It's like, I don't think, it's just over 2 meters. No.
You have to imagine now if you're standing under it. And
yeah, I'm trying to think with my hands up. Probably about 3 meters?
Yeah, it's spot on 3 meters. Yeah. It's exactly 3 meters.
I do feel like, I'm like, okay, if I put my hands up, I'm like, yeah, okay,
yeah,
so, yeah.
You can just about reach it. The weird thing now that I want to ask you is, what is the minimum height of the posts? Okay. Minimum height of the posts. So, like,
I mean, that's
how high must these be?
6? It's the same.
It's a good guess, but the answer is actually really bizarre. It's 3.4 meters.
Oh, wow.
Which means...
as long as it's just over the...
Yeah, which... imagine trying to be a touch judge, deciding if a kick goes over that.
Wow. I mean, that is... I mean, that's purely surely made for primary school, where at least they kick. You kind of force it like under nines. You kind of force everyone to kick in the middle.
But I would say the shortest I've seen is like 6 meters.
Yeah, about 6 meters.
Maybe a 5.5 or something, but 3.4. It's like this much above the post.
Yeah, I mean, if you are a touch judge, you actually have to make people kick from under the pole, like under the pole. Like, sorry, in front of the post.
They're like football goals, and it literally, that bit above is 0.4 of a meter above the crossbar.
Wow.
And so we always say, right, it's rare when you have properly sized poles for the ball to go over the top of a pole.
Yeah.
Because it's quite high up. But if it does, the law even says that it doesn't count as a goal, because if the pole were to extend, it likely would have bounced off. It's possible it could have ricocheted in or whatever, but the law says if it goes over...
The law is opening up to...
So the law actually makes it clear then, so you don't have to decide would it have been in or not.
You know.
If it goes over, no. What happens here? Because they're so low.
They're so low, everything's going over.
Yeah. No, I would hate to have to actually have that. I'm not sure why the law is that, because I've never seen it. But
at least 5 meters, just to be safe. But no, that is...
Well, do you know how far apart the poles are from each other? If you're not at, where is it, the Varsity Cup field where they have one pole in the Free State? Is it is it Shimlas who have that single pole, American football style? What do you think? How far apart are the poles?
5 meters?
That's pretty close. This one is random. It's even more random. It's 5.6 meters.
Oh, wow.
Now, that doesn't translate into anything neatly. It doesn't translate into feet and inches. I promise we've checked. The earliest reference we can find to it is probably in some law book from like the 1920s, where they used paces, like human paces, to say how wide it is, and a pace roughly translates to something that then roughly translates to this. But yeah, that's random. So I thought I'd bring you two weird.
That is properly random. I like that.
Laws from the grounds today, which means that all we have left to do is the impossible truth. I'm sitting at 4 from 9, which means I'm at 44%. So I'd really like to make it 5 from 10 and get back to 50.
I got Sputs here. Where's Sputs one? Let me get you. This time I think I'll start.
Okay.
I mean, I'm very nervous because Sputs entrusted me. He's even stepped out for me to do this.
Well, it worked last week.
It worked last week. Junior World Cup week.
Yep.
Baby Box are up, defending champs.
Yeah, against Uruguay.
The Baby Box have come third 9 times in the Junior World Cup. And then Sputs fact is, like many other fields, the Burger Field of St. John's College is named after a previous headmaster.
Oh! Do you remember last year when we did we visited all the Easter Festival schools and we shot there? And then our executive producer told me the whole history of the Burger Field.
And now it's gone.
And there's a statue there at St. John's, and St. John's is beautiful and all these things. And I cannot remember. It's like so. We easily could have come third 9 times. We could have come third 7 times. We could have come third never. Like, it's just, that's too random for me to know. Now, I wonder if you guys have planned this and you alternate each week. No, I can't do it like that.
Gee, that's a lot of credit was put tonight.
So it could be a headmaster, right? It often is named after a teacher that was iconic at the school. Sometimes if a player goes on, like the Khaleesi at Grey High. But I am not sure. I am not sure. The fact that I don't remember it's named after a headmaster maybe means that it wasn't, but it also could mean I just don't remember. So I'm going to say that the Baby Box have come third 9 times.
That is true.
Oh, the 50% lives.
I thought we had you.
I was so close to going the other way, I'll be honest. So close.
We had you. I was like, oh no. It's like, you remember? Like, no.
Wow. So we've come third 9 times.
9 times. Well, 3 times in a row.
And we start our title defense on the 27th, which is exciting. Okay, the other one, the Burger Field.
Is named after a former teacher, William Maxi Burger.
That's the thing. That's Sput's thing, is like, it is named after a teacher, but not the headmaster. I'm going to be close to true, but not fully true. He likes to be sneaky. Okay. That's good news. That's a nice way to end the show. I'm now 5 from 10 on the picks, which means I'm back to 50%, so which is not where I want to be, but it's better than being in the 40s. And that's all we have time for on today's episode of Rugby on 216. We'll see you next week, Tuesday, same time, same place. But for now, bye-bye.